So one of the best ways I've found to make passive income is through writing and publishing books. I talk a lot about self-publishing on this channel, but in this video, I want to give you an overview of the process because I believe this is one of the best ways that you can get started making passive income and put money in your pocket month after month after month for years to come. If that sounds good to you, stick around. My name is Lane. This is my channel. It's so awesome to have you joining me today. If you would, I want to give something to you for free that will make this process way easier. And it's my 5-step guide to writing a #1 best-selling book. This is something that I did. My first book was a #1 bestseller in its category on Amazon. And I took all of the steps that I used to make that happen. There were 5 of them. And I put them into this helpful guide just for you. So if you go to lanesebring.com/5 steps, you can pick it up there, or the link is in the description. All right, so let's dig in. You want to write a book, you're thinking about it. I want to walk you through the steps required to make it happen. I want to talk about why it's such a good money maker in terms of passive. Like a book is like almost nothing else, where there's a fixed amount of work and then disproportionate returns on that work, which is how we define passive income. But the difference in a book versus an online course even, or a book versus affiliate marketing, is once the book is kind of out there and in the ecosystem of Amazon and people are buying it and people are rating it and reviewing it, when you do the work required to get your book out there, it can start to gain traction and increase over time in terms of sales. It's really blown me away because when I first published my very first book, I put it out there and I thought, okay, if I'm lucky, I might get a lot of sales right away and then it'll die off and that'll just be it. And here I am, nearly 5 years into having published my first book and 3 years or 2 years into having published my second book, and they still sell every single month. They make me a few $100s every month, and it's incredibly easy at this point because the books literally sell themselves. And so I want to walk you through the process of kind of knowing, like, what book should I write? How do I get started? What should I do? I have a lot more to say in this playlist. And so if you want details on what I'm saying, where I go way deeper, then definitely check out this playlist right here on self-publishing. This video is intended to be an overview, but what I really want to focus on is not necessarily the process of writing a book, but how a book can make you money and how that money can be sustained over time, because that's what this playlist is all about on passive income. If you've missed the previous videos on this playlist, you can check them out right here. We talk all about what passive income is, and so far we've talked about affiliate marketing and selling merch as a couple of options, and in this video, of course, we're going to talk about publishing books. Does that sound good? If you like this and you're getting value out of it already and you feel like you're going to, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps for this video to be shared with more people. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and let's go ahead and dig in. The very first thing you need is a problem. What do I mean by that? Your book must solve a problem, and I'm particularly talking about nonfiction books. Fiction books are not my expertise, so if you're writing fiction, this may not be the best video for you. But for nonfiction, like self-development, personal development, business books, spiritual books, whatever the case, for nonfiction, you have to solve a problem. So you need to clearly define what that problem is, how people feel it, and how your book is going to solve it. So for example, in my first book called Preaching Killer Sermons, the problem was the feeling that some preachers have where they get up there and they preach and they feel like their sermon was boring or unengaging or people weren't paying attention. And they're thinking, how can I make this really come alive? Because they care, they want people to hear the message that they're delivering. They feel like it's important. They've prepared it, but it's just not getting across. That's the problem. So my book starts with that problem and then solves that problem and enables the reader to apply the solution to their context. That's what a good book is supposed to do. Without a problem, a book is not worth reading. The next thing you need to do is map out the outline of your book. How's it going to flow? How are you going to present the problem? And then how are you going to map out the solution and then empower the reader to go apply that solution to their life and in their context? Once you've done those two things, you can start writing your first draft, and then you write your second draft, and then you have it edited and proofread and formatted. Now, I just sped through a lot of steps, and again, go check out that playlist on self-publishing if you want more in-depth on those steps. What I want to move on to is to how you actually monetize a book, how you make money on it. So let's say you've written your book, you get it all set, you got your problem, it's solved by the book, the formatting looks great, you've had it edited professionally, the cover design is on point, everything's great. What do? Well, the first thing you need to do is you gotta have an audience, okay? You gotta have people who follow you in order to sell a book. This is one of the reasons why in this particular YouTube channel, to be honest, I started out almost exclusively talking about self-publishing. And as I started coaching people through the process of self-publishing, what I discovered is that I was taking for granted that a lot of people already had audiences, that they had online followings. And what I found is that there's some people who want to write a book but don't have an audience yet. But if you want to make money with your book, you have to have an audience. You have to have people who follow you, who know you, who like you, and who trust you. If you just want to write a book for a bucket list purpose or to have a memoir or something like that, you don't need an audience if you don't want to sell it, right? But if you want to sell the book, it's good, it's necessary to have a platform or an online audience. That's why with this YouTube channel, I actually pivoted more towards online business and less on self-publishing, because before you can really self-publish well, you've got to have an audience, and the way you get an audience is the principles that I teach through online business. And so all that to say, it's really important when you start to market to discover or to really try to drill down on who is my audience and how do I serve them? And how does this book and the problem that it solves solve their problem? So for example, in my first book, Preaching Killer Sermons, the problem was the same problem that I was solving on my blog, preachingdonkey.com. And it's the same problem that I solve over at the YouTube channel at Preaching Donkey. And so the book was really just an extension of me and that brand and the problem that I was solving overall and the thing that I was helping preachers accomplish. And so when I produced the book and said, hey, I have this book that is a complete end-to-end solution of this problem that we've been working on together, then it was an obvious choice for my audience to say, oh my gosh, I want to buy that book. So right away, I was able to get a lot of sales to the book and get a lot of ratings and a lot of reviews and a lot of people talking about it. And this got it into the ecosystem of Amazon. Like I talked about earlier, this got it kind of on the map so that eventually that process starts to kind of run itself as people search on Amazon for certain keywords like help with preaching or how to write a good sermon or how to deliver a sermon. My book pops up, they read the reviews, they purchase it. That makes Amazon show it higher in the listings, and it just keeps going. So the very first thing you have to do is you have to have a good release of your book. And the way you do this is go to your people that you're already serving, you're already helping them with their issues, you're already solving their problem, and you say, hey, I now have this book which solves this problem in a very organized way. Now, some people ask, well, what if I've already covered these concepts on my blog? What if I've already written them on my blog? Or what if I've already covered these concepts on my YouTube channel? Well, what am I going to write in my book? This is a very common question. Here's what I learned early on. There's a principle of repurposing content. It's totally effective. It works. In my blog, Preaching Killer Sermons, I had already written 50 or 60 posts about various different topics on preaching. But it would be a topic here, an idea here, a principle there, a way to solve this problem, a way to look at this issue. And it was just unorganized, but it was a set of blog posts. When I went to write my book, I actually started with that content that I had already written, and I started to organize it into a logical flow. Like, what is this going to look like if I put this together in a sequential, logical flow for people and provide a complete solution to one problem, one specific problem? And so all of that content started with my blog. Of course, with the book, I built it out, I expanded it, I added more quality to it, more examples and illustrations and stories and ways to make it really come alive. Because I felt like if I'm asking people to pay for something, it needs to be better than what they got for free on the blog. But it started with that same base content, and then I built on it. And so you could do the exact same thing. If you've already taught on something on YouTube or on your blog or on your podcast, you don't have to reinvent the wheel to write a book about it. You can just make it better. The other thing is people gladly pay for the convenience of a book, of a packaged piece of organized content, because they don't want to have to go search for, okay, I go to this piece, I go to that piece, I go to this piece, and maybe it'll all come together into a cohesive plan. No, they will pay for the convenience of you doing all that work for them. So when you present a book and say, hey, I've got the plan right here, A to Z, all you have to do is pay for the book and you've got the plan. So people will buy it because of that. So I would start with the content that you've already made. And if you haven't made content yet, I would start making content as you're writing your book. So start building an audience as you're writing your book so that by the time you release the book, you've got people who know you and like you and trust you and come to you for the solution to this specific problem. So once you have the book written, you want to get it into all three formats. There's three basic formats that you can do when you self-publish to Amazon: paperback, ebook, and audiobook. Those three formats, paper, ebook, and audio, are the three formats that almost everybody reads books in. The other is another physical copy, which would be a hardback. So when I say paperback, I mean either paperback or hardback or both, but basically a book that people hold in their hands versus a book that people hold on their phone versus a book that people listen to. Now, definitely, no matter what, do audio. It's a little bit more expensive to produce. It takes a lot more work, but people are consuming audiobooks at a rate that is way exceeding how many people are reading books, especially nonfiction, personal development type books. You want to make sure to do it in audio. I waited way too long to put my books into audio format. When I did that, I saw sales skyrocket just by adding another way that people can consume the book. It just increased the sales all the way around. Pretty amazing. So definitely put it in all three formats and definitely make sure that you prioritize audio. So the plan for making money really hinges on how well you release the book, how well it gets out there initially to your existing audience. You want to do that right so that you get the ratings, you get the reviews, and you get the sales and things start moving in the right direction. Now, let's say that you've already put out your book and you didn't do it right. Is it just going to die on the vine? Not necessarily. You can still infuse it with some life and some promotion. You just need to get your existing audience over to the book and incentivize them buying the book. And maybe you need to take the book down, make it better, and put it back up. Maybe you need to release a second edition. Whatever the case, just get a lot of sales at one time to the book and leverage your audience to do that. There's lots of different ways. You can do giveaways and prizes. You want to make sure that you're not breaking any of Amazon's terms of service when you do that. So make sure you read through what the rules are. But there's lots of different ways that you can incentivize people buying the book. You can lower the price to get a lot of sales to the book at one time. You can lower it to 99 cents on your Kindle version and say, hey, everybody, go buy the book right now because the price is low for a period of time. Be sure to leave a review, leave a rating. That kind of thing can really help so that later you raise the price back up to its normal spot and the sales continue. But books overall are a really, really exciting way to provide value to the world and to make money over time. The two books that I've written, like I said, make me anywhere between $250 to $550 a month, just depending on things that I can't control. How many people are searching, how many people are buying. But it's an amazing thing that happens where no matter what, I can pretty well depend on about $350 a month coming in from books that I wrote 5 years ago and 2 years ago. That's pretty awesome. Like books that I don't have to touch anymore. Books that really just kind of sit there and they sell themselves and I'm living my life. I'm doing my thing. And this is like an asset that keeps producing me money every single month. You really can't beat that. It's pretty awesome. So I want that for you. I want that for you if that's something that you want to do. Here's the one thing I would definitely avoid. There's some people that will tell you that writing books, doing it on Amazon, doing it on Kindle, they'll talk about how it's easy to make a ton of money. You can make $10,000 a month. And typically, the way they teach to do that is to just hire the whole process out. Don't even write the book yourself, is what they'll say. So they'll talk about hiring a ghostwriter, hiring people in other countries just to kind of write the book, put it together, get it on Amazon, and it's a volume game. Number one, that doesn't work anymore, okay? Amazon is, it's so competitive on the platform, and the days of just being able to put a junk book on Amazon and having it sell because it has a catchy cover and a good title, those days are long gone. So number one, it doesn't work. Number two, it's not, I guess you could argue that it's ethical because people have been doing ghostwriting for a long time. It's nothing new as long as you pay. But here's the thing, I don't feel good about it. I just don't. I feel like if I'm going to stick a book out in the world and put my name on it, I should have written it or very, very heavily been a part of the process. Not just hire somebody to write a book on a set of topics that I give them and then put it off as my book. I don't like that. I think that's an unethical way to do it. And the other way is, it's not satisfying. It's not fun. Part of the fun part about writing a book is that you, from your brain, provide value to other people and help them solve problems and help them think differently about something. That's an amazing feeling. And if you just hire the whole process out, then you lose that. So I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to write books that you feel good about, that come from deep within your heart and your soul. I think that's what it's all about. So those are my thoughts. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Where are you in the process of writing your book? And how do you see this fitting into your overall plan of earning passive income? Again, my name's Lane. It's awesome to have you on the channel today. Definitely subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.